All right.
So, last year, like any other teenager, I wanted to spend my summer with my friends, but my parents had other plans for me and forced me to go to Mérida, Yucatan. At first, I didn't like it, but then I grew to love it as time went by. I was there for 2 weeks and I hated it because it was hot and humid, and every 20 minutes it would rain, and then after that, you were breathing in water. But I grew to love it because it was so rich in history, and then there was a lot of neat places to go to. So with that being said, I'd like to describe a couple of things that make Yucatan a beautiful place to visit, and that would be the history and all the different places to visit. So this place has a lot of history to it. The Mayans were there for a very long time, so everywhere you go in Yucatan, you would see like Mayan descendants. They're wearing like typical Mayan clothing, and they would walk around in just like skin thingy majiggies with a toga. That was really weird. And so the Mayans migrated to Yucatan around 2,500 BC. They built many cities in the Yucatan region, but the two most spectacular being Chichen Itza and Izamal, and that's according to history.com. Most of the Mayan descendants occupy Yucatan, but there's also like different, like there's some German people, French, Dutch, and Spanish people there. They speak their own language, which is this unique little dialect. I tried learning it, but it was like pretty difficult. I was pretty bad at it. And then most of them speak Spanish. While I was there, I went to 3 different museums there, and all the museums had different things to teach me. At one of the museums, they held all these old artifacts. There was like pots, pottery, pans, tools they used to hunt and gather back in the medieval time age, I guess. And there was like a plot of like how they used to grow their food, and there were like different like corns and stuff. Like there's purple corn, there was blue corn, yellow corn, all these different colored corns. At another museum, there was different layouts of how the Mayans' houses like developed. At first, they were like these little tiny houses that looked like little dog playhouses, and it was really kind of weird because I didn't expect people to be that short. And then the third museum was just an art like gallery. They had painting, clothes that they used to wear, like these weird things that they would make. It was pretty neat. And the people that live in Mérida, like they will teach you things. If you just take the time to speak to a native, they'll tell you like all the stories of like that they heard as children and they passed on to their children. And also in the streets you see history. There's like every other like day there would be like folklorico dancing, which is like skirt work and everything, and then they would have like little shows and plays about like how Mérida came to be. And like they talked about like the gods and stuff they believed in. And so now that I talked about the history of Mérida, I like to tell you about different places you can visit. Mérida has a lot of different places that you can visit. Chichen Itza is an archaeological site that is located just about outside of Mérida, and it takes about an hour to get there. There's like different sites inside Chichen Itza that has like different like things like all the ruins and stuff. And so this one is El Castillo, also known as the Temple of Culiacan. It was constructed during the 19th and 20th century. It is one of the 7 wonders of the world, and it's pretty cool. When you stand right here in the center and you clap, for some reason there's a noise that comes out of it. It's weird. You used to be able to climb the stairs of the pyramid and go inside inside the chambers, but a woman fell to her death in 2009, so they closed that off. During the spring and autumn equinox, the sun picks out the serpents carved into the staircase, which move by a celestial trick of the light. Inside the chambers were used for many different things, but it was most commonly used for sacrifices. And this is the grand ball court. This is where the Mayan people played a Mesoamerican ball game. It was sort of like soccer, except it had like the rings up here really high, and you could only use like your hips and forearms to get the ball and make it through the loop. The losing team had to sacrifice a player. To the Mayan king, the nobles, the game had a ritual significance and was associated with warfare. So another place that you can visit are the cenotes, which are sinkholes, and there are over 2,000 cenotes in Merida, where you got them. This one is a cenote sagrado, or sacred well. This is where the Mayan people used to throw human sacrifices and remains and offerings to the water god. Archaeologists have also found boxes of jewelry and stuff in there. And then this is EQQ. It's a freshwater sinkhole. It used to be a place where indigenous people would go and drink water and like do like little rituals of senior like for peace and things. But now you are able to swim in it and take in like the nature and everything. There's a staircase carved into the wall right here where people are allowed to go up and then jump down into the sinkhole. And there's like little fishes and little critters like swimming around with you. So as you can see, Yucatan is a place with history and nice places to visit. I spent most of my time in the cenotes because I like swimming, and it was really peaceful. But my favorite part was seeing El Castillo because like it was one of the seventh wonders, and I've always wanted to see a seventh wonder. So I thought that was pretty neat. So next time you're forced into going to a family trip, give it a chance before you knock it down because you might not end up liking it. Thank you.
So Edson, what'd you think? You're not here, are you? There we go. Moving right along then. I thought you did a nice job with the attention device, making the personal referent to what your family wanted to do versus what you wanted to do and how you ultimately enjoyed where you went. I thought that that was nice. It personalizes what you're talking about to some degree and helps make it interesting. You've got a very clear statement of your goal for the speech, so that's solid. There's a pretty reasonable preview. It's only a two-part structure, so it's not likely that we're going to get too lost. But I do think that the internal material needs to be structured a little bit more, because when you are talking about the first part on the history and the background, there's not really a pattern to it. It just seems to be randomized things that you noticed or saw that came up occasionally. And I think there needs to be a more coherent way that you're putting that information together. It sounded like you transitioned from a specific area, the Yucatan, to the city. and I wasn't quite clear which now was your topic. So that needs to be clear. I think the idea of the city as an illustration of what's going on in the Yucatan area would be the way that you want to present this, and that's an organizational thing that you can fix pretty easily. Sometimes you kind of just lapse into, little kid talk. You know what I'm talking about? It's like, they wear these thingamajigs around themselves, or there's this kind of awkward way of expressing yourself. You need to plan it a little bit more. You need to be a little bit more practiced. As it is, it comes across like you aren't quite ready to give the presentation. You need some more work on those sorts of things. I thought the stuff that you talked about was interesting, but on the whole first point, when you're talking about all the history, where are the pictures of those little houses that the people lived in? Where's the artifacts that you're talking about? You talk about the dances that they do that's like some kind of skirt thing, and I'm going, okay, I'd like to know what the heck that looks like, and I'm not seeing anything like that. It's not until you get to the pyramid and the sinkholes that we get any visuals there. Now, those were good, and I thought you did a nice job using those images to talk about that part of your speech. Why you didn't have anything like that for the first part of the speech was not clear to me, and it really feels like you've missed an opportunity. I got the feeling sometimes that you were quoting material but not citing it, and that's not appropriate. For example, there's that one section where you're talking about how the sculptures are in relief when the celestial lights come out and everything like that, and I'm going, that doesn't sound like the same person who said, they're wearing a thingamajiggy. It sounds like something that somebody wrote, and you're just reading it to us, and you're not attributing it. And you want to make sure that you attributed quoted material, because otherwise, it's what we call a no-no. So I mean, if you're using somebody else's words, don't be shy about saying that. That's the way you want to cite it. That's why you do the research, so you can say, the brochure that I picked up at the pyramid described it this way, and then just tell us what you've got there instead of trying to pass it off as something that you're saying, and we can just tell that that's not you talking in that situation. All right, I like the way at the end you came back to your story at the beginning. I thought that was a clever attempt to make it a little bit more holistic. We're not overemphasizing delivery here, but when you watch this back, you're going to notice that you've got a thing with your hands. You just are... All your nervous energy comes out. You're pulling your fingers. You're turning your rings. You're doing this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, what is she doing? Making tortillas here? Or, fixing the hamburger patty? There's just a lot of nervous energy coming out here. So you're going to want to control that. All right. Thank you.
I'll make tortillas if you want.
Hey, there you go. That would be good. Oh, come on.